Hello, I'm Dr. Paul Szuster. I'm doing this short video for my application for a position in management education with the Victorian Institute of Technology in July 2022. What I'm going to do here is a strategic management example using PESTEL analysis and relating it to a case study and taking the students through that and then putting them into breakout groups and then doing review and then preparing them for the next week and so forth. Hopefully I'll get all this done in 5 minutes. Okay, I asked the students to look at the PESTEL analysis, read about it in chapter 3 of their text, which some have online, some have a hard copy. Thompson et al., Crafting and Executing Strategy, the Quest for a Competitive Advantage. And the video, which is by Landline, the ABC Rural Affairs program, is about a company in northern Victoria called Lucas Mills. Okay, just to review class, now here we go, the class, we're doing the role play now. Okay class, political factors. I've got it on the screen, the acronym, political factors for PESTEL, economic conditions, socio-cultural factors, technological factors, environmental issues, and of course legal issues. That's PESTEL, quite simple. These are part of what we call the macro environment around a business. Any business exists in a macro environment. Okay. Let's now recap on the Lucas Mills story which you watched. This family, the Lucas family, they own and manage their business in northern Victoria. They manufacture a portable sawmill for use in forests to convert fallen trees and logs into planks that can then be easily carried out by people rather than massive logs in trucks, which is not very common in third world countries. And that's where this particular product is very popular in third world countries. A few years ago, they discovered that a manufacturer in China was actually copying their mill, perfect copy, right down to the photocopies of their operations and service manuals. Now, the company had to take legal action and they employed a patent attorney and they went to China and they got through the process because this is a world-recognized product, patented, and they put a lot of their family resources into developing it. Okay, now here's the scenario that we're going to do. I want you to consider this case study from the PESTEL analysis methodology. And what happened? The Lucas family want to export or expand their market into the Amazon basin of Brazil. Now, to do this, they need to raise $2 million from an investor or investors, and in exchange, they'll give away 25% equity of their business. And it's a family business. That's pretty unusual to make that sort of decision. But they needed that money to expand their business further into a new market area, the Amazon basin. Now, here's the further scenario. You have been recruited as a consultant by the investor to analyze the business, and you'll use the PESTEL analysis as part of your analysis. Let's quickly review political factors. Now, there's a few of you in this class from Brazil. Now, I know that a lot of you have made some comments about the political environment there. Would anyone like in the room now to highlight some of those political issues that might impact upon a company bringing in a new product? Thank you. Now, what about the Australian scene? How supportive is the Australian government for exporters? Another political factor. Let's now look at economic conditions. Imagine that they succeed in getting that market growing. They're going to have to produce more mills. More mills produced means more employment. Now they're in a regional area and they're going to have to find and train new employees to expand production. Now that's very much an economic consideration. So what about the social, the technological, the environmental, the legal scenarios that you as the consultant will need to address? Now, here's what I've done. I've divided the whole class, all of you, 24 of you, into 6 groups. And each group will go away and will be given one of those conditions in PESTEL. And hopefully you'll discover that in your group there's some synergy. Now, don't forget, I know quite a bit about your backgrounds from the earlier work we did in this course, and where you've got to use your experience from your business background or your undergraduate studies or your career plans in this process. Okay, group 1, you'll do the political stuff. Now, there's a few members in this group who I do know work for government agencies. Group 2, the economists. Again, there's a couple of you in this class who've got an economics undergraduate background, so you'll be in group 2. Group 3, that'll be a bit of a mixture. It's the sociological cultural group, but there are 1 or 2 of you who I know have a social worker background or work in that sort of environment, NDIS and so forth. Group 4, the technology group. Now, Emily Cower, I know that you're in the back row there, but I know, Emily, that you have done mechanical engineering at the Pillai Engineering College in Mumbai. Now, have I pronounced it correctly? Pillai, is that correct? Thanks, Emily, I appreciate that. But I'd like you to take a leadership role in that group. Now, in the environmental group, Rajan, you're from Nepal, and you studied in a Master's in Environmental Science in Nepal. And I know that you're quite passionate about people in rural areas developing industry and so forth. So in your group, I'd like you to take a leadership role, especially thinking about how Lucas Mills could really expand in those native forest areas. The final group, group 6, the lawyers. Now, several of you have got a legal background, in particular Cynthia. Now, you came from Sao Paulo, the big commercial city in Brazil, and I know that you were involved in the program to compensate people after the Samarco tailings dam disaster. Now, that's important because you have a real feel for legal issues to do with a commercial matter. So hopefully you'll be able to contribute. Okay, that's the end of my direct discussion to the class. They're all now off in their groups discussing, and in a face-to-face class, I would now go circulating amongst the groups, listening in, and maybe just adding a little bit. In a Zoom online environment, I'd obviously log into each of the groups and contribute where possible. After about 10 minutes, they all come back and they give their reports to the class. Now, here's my closing comments to the class. In the next session, we'll examine another model for evaluating a company's external environment. This will be the Porter 5 Forces tool to assess the industry and a company's competitive advantage. It's also covered in Chapter 3, so hopefully you most have already read about it, but if not, please go to it and have a good look. And I'd also like you to go back and look at the Lucas Mill case study, because next week we're going to apply the Porter 5 Forces model to Lucas Mills in their global expansion, thinking again about the Brazil situation. Now, finally, before you go, and before I say thank you for attending today, I'd just like to remind you that in one of the earlier sessions in this course, I did teach you about the Cornell method of taking notes, Cornell notes. Now, can I suggest that when you review this session from today, you actually use the Cornell notes technique, the dividing your page up into the various segments, etc., the title, the content, the questions, the summary. Give it a go. Thank you very much for your time today. Goodbye.